Yo, it's Guido coming at you with the Tactics Talk, guys. Let's talk about pushing. We're going to do two examples. One, when to, and one, when not to. Now, the when to will be the first one, and this is more of a tactical push, which is you're fighting in a local area, and this is a pretty good map for it here on Berlin, because I'm going to take this tank to the heavy brawling area here. There are several different angles and ways to get shots here, and there are ways to push here as well. But you've got to set the conditions to push, so you don't just push in there and try to flank them immediately. You've got to start doing these kind of whittled down tactics, side scraping, good trading, all of the things that you can do in this game to start whittling down the guy you're taking on. And, you know, one of the problems is a lot of people can't really get past that particular event of trying to side scrape and whittle people down until they're gone, right? So I'm going to go here and kind of do some face punching, but I immediately get hammered pretty good by the Progetto 54. I have a lot of friends moving in, but they've got a lot of tanks too. So clearly this is easy. It is not time to push. One of the ways you can start to organize a push or to work against guys who are hanging out where the red guys are is to come around the road in the north. But that can be dangerous because there's sometimes people up here in the north across the river who can get side shots on you, or the artillery back there. There's only one, so you take that into account and note and say, okay, there's only one arty, so perhaps at some point we can start making something happen. So everyone's just kind of playing the peek-a-boom thing going on here, and we'll continue to do that. And what you're looking for is, you know, when is that opportunity, that time when I can maybe change the fight? And the first thing I start to notice is the CDA and the Indian Panzer on my team are up there in the north, and they haven't really seen anything yet. So that's good. If there's nobody north of the river, then I can come around the outside on the road and start applying pressure on the north side of the little enclave that the red guys have gathered into right there. So we're just going to watch this go for a bit. No hope of going through that guy's mantlet. So I'm kind of taking pokes at a T-34, and that's just not really working, right? Nobody's making a mistake, so I'll get out of there. The CDA did get hit by something. The Indians a little further back, but they haven't seen anything. So let's just come around this corner and see if there's anything over here. And what I'm going to try to do here is create a different angle that we're taking on the red guys from. Surprise them maybe, get them in a crossfire, start working on them. We got the 103, the T-103 out here. And I can see that the 100-01 is following me. So we see this guy come in, we're going to track him. We'll back out. We have a pretty fast reload on this thing. You do have to watch for this middle road to my left. That guy comes out. The middle road to my left, if somebody's over there, but the Progetto 46 is dead, and I'm not taking any hits, so it looks like nobody's there. Clearly, the red team's going to know we're coming around the corner, but we're able to work on these guys a little bit. He just barely gets away. We'll keep pushing in. I got the 100-01 with me. That's a lot of beef. That's a good thing. Now we're starting to create that crossfire. So I'm going to stop showing you what I'm doing specifically with my camera and just show you the fight. There are now, what, 4 guys in there. 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of us. That is one of the things you're looking for, right? You've got an overmatch. You've got an overmatch, and you have them looking two ways. Now, if you're the guys that are back here, you got to start looking for an opportunity to move forward while me and the 100-01 have these guys looking the other way. There are fully 2 of their 4, there's 5 actually, sorry. Fully 2 of their 5 looking at us, which has split them and leaves only 3 looking at the 5 tanks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tanks over there. There are some guys on low hit points, 1 on a 1-shot, the rest of them on at least 2-shot. What you'll find, though, is people are loath to move forward. Now, the 100-01 comes in, takes the hit. I'm looking for a shot on this guy's weak spot, which I get. So we've taken 1 down. All of a sudden, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over there, 2 of us. We have 7 tanks now against 4. And unfortunately, nobody's pushing. And really, at this point, all 5 of those guys push across here. This ends pretty quickly. And I'm trying to do a little side scrape. I'm getting in the 100-01's way right here. A big hit on the 100. Down he goes. Holy cow, now there's only 3. And you would think at this point that this entire team would just collapse on this little enclave here and take these guys out, but that is not what happens. And these are the things you're looking for. Now, there's the artillery I was worried about. I knew eventually he was going to do something like that. So he drops almost 500 damage on me from across the map. Seems like a great game mechanic. Shoot him on the way, crossing. Unfortunately, the 100-01 I think is going to get killed. And look what's going on. My team hasn't moved. They have not even attempted. There's an IS-3A, which is an autoloader on a bunch of hit points. There's only 2 guys even looking at him. One of them's a one-shot. Still, they don't. Just watch this. Just watch how long it takes the team to sort of realize what's going on. Finally, they're barely starting to move. I get killed by a T-92 who's worked his way around behind me. And still, they're playing peekaboo. So there was a golden opportunity right there. That's a great example. You know, if you're one of the 2 122 TMs or the Lurva or the IS-3A or the T-34, you got to start watching for things like that, because if they could have collapsed in there and taken these guys out faster, they probably would have a live 100-01 and a 274 Alpha still to work with them. And this game ends up being a win, but it's a lot closer than it would have otherwise been if they'd have recognized it. And what happens is exactly what you just saw right here. People will sit around and wait for somebody else to push in and die and take some hit points away until they're absolutely positively sure that a push is going to work. And I get it. It's a pub match. That's kind of what you get. I could play that way too, but I find it boring as hell. And if this was an organized example or an organized match, you would have had the caller calling for a push much earlier in there than these guys got in. But this game is a lot about time. You only have so much time to win, and how fast you can draw down the bad guys' hit points, and the number of tanks will determine how fast you can move on to the other tanks. And if you're maybe having a problem down in the south, preserving some of the hit points down there, just as an example. So there was a good example right there of, if you're the guys that are over there playing peekaboo, try to pay attention to where the leverage and the pressure is being pushed from other places. If you see one of your guys making a play and it looks like one that's going to work, especially if it splits apart the people you've been facing into 2 halves, that's probably the time to start getting out there, start pushing in, and apply more pressure, because they'll collapse much faster when that pressure is applied. Now let's look at an example of when not to push, slightly different, but let's move on to that one. All right, the second example is Redshire, and this is more of a flank push example of when not to push. It's similar in that you've got to assess what's going on the match in your local area on the rest of the map, and make a determination on whether it's time for you to push, whether it's a flank or a local tactical push like we just saw. One of the big things you have to take into account is where the rest of the crossfire is. We talked about the north part of the river on that last map, and all maps have these kind of crossfire areas that you have to pay attention to, and you have to kind of understand where the rest of the red tanks are going to be. You have to sort of understand where they're going to be and where's the most likely place you're going to take a hit from. Now this is fairly straightforward. It's the brawling area. I like the 274, there's 274 Alpha and the 122 TM. These are 2 new Russian style. One's a Chinese and this is the Russian tank. Medium tanks that have a lot of pen and pretty good guns that hit pretty hard, and they actually do a really nice job in these heavy brawling areas as support tanks. And unfortunately my 2 Lurvas have sort of got stuffed back there. I'm trying to figure out if I can get a shot on anybody in this corner, but it doesn't look like anybody wants to sit over there. So I'm going to come over here where these dudes are taking on the 2 Lurvas and see if I can't start getting shots, because I noticed the 134 Bravo is way wide right here, and he just starts taking hits. So we'll put a shot into him. Unfortunately, I blocked the Uda shot, though. He fired. He has a really slow reload, so I'm just going to go ahead and come out here and finish this dude off. 130, the IS-3 Alpha goes over there, and it looks like we have an advantage in tanks. I'm only seeing 2 of them over here right now. So our Lurva goes over there. The IS-3A is side-scraping behind this rock. And unfortunately, he's going to get the best of me over here. I think I get 1 shot maybe early on this dude, and then start to struggle bus against him a bit. That's a miss or a bounce. Not really a good shot at the curved part of his turret. Bummer about the IS-3A is that he's an autoloader, so he's pretty quickly going to have a shot again. And Carnarvon's doing a nice job hold down there, trying to take shots on us. He's really trying to get to my hatches, and he almost can, so I have to be careful about where he is. We do get a shot into his roof right there. That works out nicely. Which gets me a little brave, and now I start messing around a little too much and eat a few more shots from this dude. That was a bummer, and he hits me pretty hard. Now he's got a fairly long intra-clip reload, but it's not as long as mine, but he does get back down into cover. And I'm going to back around this way because that's just not working out. So I want to go look around over here. Maybe we can wrap around. All right. Crossfire-wise, this map, it's pretty obvious. Guys sit back here, the TDs. Okay, you get guys in this rock. or this tree that's right here. You get guys that might even be back here in the river bottom, and they will have shots as you come around the corner. So you've got to be cognizant of it. There's a lot of TDs in this game, and not many of them are spotted until I find this guy here, which blows my mind. There he is.
Enemy armor is hit.
So he's sitting there. I didn't really take a return shot, which is nice. Now we're just going to try to side scrape. This thing does side scrape pretty well. We'll go ahead and fix. Come back out. He gets another shot pretty quickly, but he's getting down to a one shot. I'm going to wait till I'm reloaded. Get hit again. Oh, and unfortunately that bounces. And I think he's probably out of shells, so he's going to keep backing out, trying to get away. Shoot him in the side, and somebody else kills him. So now we're starting to win this flank. And the question at this point becomes, what am I going to do after I win this flank? We're looking at it. Yep, it's looking good. Where am I going to go? Now, you know, as well as I do, that most people push. But let's get to that position and see, even right now, as you're looking at it, think about whether you would push down into the northeast right here. Come over here. We're going to put a shot on him. There's the two Lurvas. They kind of get out in the open. I don't really know why they pushed like that, but maybe they're trying to get down lower. We'll kill that off, and now we've won this flank. And we have myself, a Lurva, and there's a T-103 over here. All right, both of us are hurt. We're losing overall 6-8. They've won this entire flank over on the east side. There is zero reason right now to push into this part of the map. And this is one of the most common mistakes overall in this game, and especially on this map when you win the, sorry, I said east, I meant west over here. When you win the east flank, one of the most common mistakes is continuing to push into bushed up guys. Because even if you make it to this point, if there's no pressure on their middle, and there really isn't because they've won over here and they're about to start filtering over, challenging the Kanonen and the Barask. If there's no pressure lighting guys up, there's no reason to be here because they're going to shred you. There's so much open area over. There's no way to come from this little opening into their backfield without being seen. Even if you go up onto the ridge, there's not enough bushes up there. You can be ridge sniping. That's great, but they also have an artillery, a 40-43, and we're all on low hit points. There's zero reason to do what this Lurva is about to do. And I believe even the T-103, who sat back, and I don't even know if he did any damage back there. I'm thinking about it. I'm like, oh, look, he's even seen. He just took an arty hit. There goes the T-103, right? Oh boy, we won a flank. He comes raging in, and it is now time for him. Okay, he's going to come up top to push. So the Kanonen is trying to hold on over there. More on the Kanonen Jagdpanzer 105 later. Old Warrior RU, who is in fact a low-tier seal clubber, which I would not mention except for a situation that's going to happen here in just a minute. So they've won the other flank. There was no reason to push. Zero. So there's that example as a general rule, and you will increase your win rate if you simply do this. Stop pushing into camping TDs when your other flank is threatened. Just turn around, go back, stop pushing into bad situations. Now the load kind of hangs there for a minute with the T-103. And I thought at this point, I'm like, all right, that's good. That's good. Those guys both stopped. So we have a chance. Let's go ahead and bring our guns back together, refocus our efforts, try to work on this other flank a little. I've got the Barask over there doing his thing. The Kanonen is kind of exposed, but at least there's somebody up there. What I'd really like to do is get over to the west side and maybe kill a tank or two over here, the Barask or the Bison, the Basante C-45, something. And there's a bunch of tanks we haven't even seen. There's an RHMB hiding somewhere. There's a Sturv hiding somewhere. And there's an ISU-152K hiding somewhere. And you can bet your bottom dollar they've filtered forward into this area here. You may still have one sitting back here somewhere. There may even be one here watching the Lurva. But they're more than likely somewhere on this ridge waiting for somebody to make a mistake. And inexplicably, the low pushes alone. The low pushes alone. Now, I would love to talk to that person. I would imagine one of the things going through his brain, or her brain, is that, all right, let me go get some vision on this part of the map. That's okay, but it's unsupported, and he's so low hit points. Between a TD, maybe a reposition by the PVTU, even the Barask, he's going to get killed pretty quickly. Unfortunately, our Barask gets seen. he's kind of pinned down. There's the ISU, kind of exactly where I thought. Turns out the TVP is AFK, which is a great deal for the red team because it lights up the Lurva. So we get a shot on him. Sante moves in. He gets into cover. Put a shot onto him, and I'm able to back out. So I get a couple more shots in. That's good. Barras dies. That's very bad. Lurva's in there trying to take on the AFK TVP, farming some damage. He's requesting fire on this guy, which, okay. But really the problem we have is over here. Now it's just me and the Cannon. There goes the low, and that's entirely predictable. There's the Barask, who's reacted to the low hit point 103 and Lurva, and down they go. They pushed basically unsupported without enough pressure on the rest of the map. Remember we talked about the pressure on that little local area on the video before, or on the example before. This is pressure across the whole map. There's not enough pressure up there, not enough guns for whatever pressure they're attempting to create for them to do anything. All they really did is they peeled off part of the red team to take them out without us being able to pressure them in another direction. Right? We just didn't have the guns or the positioning to do that right there. And it's just a great example of when not to push. When not to push. All right. Man, if I could get people to stop doing that kind of thing. Stop not pushing when it's time and stop pushing when it's not time. Man, would they increase their success in this game by a lot. That's all I've got today. Thanks for supporting the channel. If you're looking for ways to do so, you can find those down in the description. That's all I've got for today. See ya.